Hey everyone, welcome to my overview of the new USD Shadow Team 60 skate. I know there's a speaking specs video out with Matthias and Eugen already, going into some detail on the skate and highlighting some of the improvements. But I just want to do a video that goes into a little more detail about certain things about this particular model, but also shadow skates in general, particularly for those people who might be considering shadows for the first time. Cool, so from a design perspective, it's pretty much an all black skate. I personally like an all black skate or an all white skate. However, this has a couple of highlights on it. So we've got chrome axle hardware, a chrome cuff bolt, chrome force buckle, and a chrome cuff buckle. We've also got a red shock absorber and a semi-clear binding part. Overall, I really dig it. It's, like I said, I prefer a completely black skate, but there's a little bit of something going on, a little bit more exciting than a standard black skate, but at the same time, not going too overboard, so it still remains pretty much a black skate. So just looking at wheels and bearings, we've got standard USD 60mm 88A wheels. It's a stock wheel, enough said, but it will last you a decent amount of time and definitely a good enough wheel to get you going to enjoy the skates right out of the box. Bearings, we've got Wicked ABEC 9s. What's cool is that you've got ABEC 9 bearings inside your anti-rockers. Being an anti-rocker setup, the outside bearings are likely to wear faster because the inner anti-rocker wheels, the anti-rocker wheels have less contact with the ground, so they don't get as much dirt and grime in them. So once your outer bearings wear out, you can just swap out those bearings that are inside your anti-rockers to the outside and vice versa. So you've almost got a spare set of bearings ready to go. So in terms of anti-rockers, it comes with the Kaiser sliders, which is a new product from Kaiser, which is a reimagining of the Higgs-Boson anti-rocker from Mind Game. What that effectively is you've got beveled edging on each of the edges of the anti-rocker. I think it's an awesome anti-rocker. I think it does work in terms of helping you hold your grinds better, particularly on ledges. It's made of Kaiser's new super fluid material, so it's super strong and super fast grinding as well. As I mentioned before, it's got full bearings inside. Apart from having a spare set of bearings like I mentioned before, it also means that there is less clacking and rattling noises coming from your bearings. No one likes a rattly skate, so it does help by having bearings inside there, and it also helps them roll a lot better over surfaces as well. So overall, a really awesome anti-rocker setup. Moving up to the frame, we've got the Kaiser Fluid 4, which in my opinion is one of the best anti-rocker frames you can get on the market straight out of the box. Perfect groove designed for anti-rocker and super fast sliding material. As I mentioned before, you've got chrome axle hardware. Also, I like to note that it is full length chrome axle hardware, meaning this style where the axle goes all the way through the wheel and the frame to the other side to meet the male receiver. Sometimes skates come with these axle hardware. This axle hardware type, which the male female meets in the center. Sometimes I find that if that manufacturing is off by a couple of millimeter, when you do up these axle hardware, it can pull each side of the frame inwards, putting pressure on the frame, the bearing, and the wheel, and can actually affect wheel spin. So as you can see here, straight out of the box, we've got really nice wheel spin. No dramas there. Just another thing to note with the frame is that the Kaiser Fluid 4 comes in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. So bear that in mind when you are ordering the skate. Next, moving up to the sole plate, the famous 2.0 sole plate, Shadow sole plate. Many fans of it, so much so that some people take them and put them on other flat bottom skates. Really good sole plate, awesome groove, awesome sole plate size, both negative and positive. overall, just an awesome sole plate, sole kit straight out of the box. What's important to note is that the mold has been changed to increase the material around these toe strap receivers. That's to ensure that these parts are now longer lasting. What was happening is some people were wearing through this part in the sole plate, depending on what tricks you do, maybe S-slides or dragging type tricks like a porn star, for example, wearing through this part to the metal where the plastic and the toe strap receiver meet, snapping the toe strap receiver part and losing the ability to mount their toe strap. You really do need the toe strap for the skate to function correctly, otherwise the front of your liner slash shoe is going to continually lift and be really annoying. So overall, a really good improvement. This on the positive and negative side, more material there, so it should last a lot longer for those people who had dramas in that area. Another thing to note is that the 2.0 sole comes in 4 sizes: extra small, which is a 38 to 40, small 41 to 42, medium 43 to 44, and a large of 45 to 47. Obviously, most people like to try and downsize to a smaller shell slash, and then in this case, cuff and sole plate on the Shadow skate. Some people do like to upsize. It really depends on your personal preference. So just talking about the toe strap area, what you'll find or may find is that the toe strap is super long out of the box. So it's overhanging. What you can do is just simply undo the Velcro end or the outside part. So it might come something like that, right? All you need to do is pull that through to your desired length and fix it down like that. It's worth noting that the male Velcro part will actually engage with the non-Velcro part of the seatbelt strap. So you can actually adjust it to your desired length. Pop your toe pad back on, feed it through, and that cross tension should be enough to engage that toe strap. And as you can see there, we don't have any overhang, so it's not going to get mangled when I miss a trick. Just talking about the toe pad, it's been slightly redesigned for this model just to follow the shape of the new outsole and the toe cap on the outsole, distributing pressure a little bit better. It's also got Velcro across the loop to make sure it doesn't move around at all when you're skating. Why have a toe pad? Well, it helps you to distribute that toe strap pressure. Without the toe pad, you do have that toe strap pressure distributed all across and sometimes too much on either side of the foot. By having that toe pad there in place, it distributes some of that toe strap pressure. So you've got it across the toe pad and then on the sides as well. So overall, it just makes it a little bit more comfortable. If the toe pad's not for you, no dramas, just take it off, right? And then you've got your toe strap there ready to go. Moving up the skate, we've got the Shadow 2.0 cuff. 2.0 meaning that it is a 2-piece design with a hinged cuff. The 1.0 cuff is a bamboo style 1-piece cuff, which has a little bit of forward flex, but the 2.0 cuff, being a hinged cuff, offers a lot more forward flex. So for those people who like forward flex, then you will surely enjoy this particular style of cuff. Another thing to note is that the cuffs come in 2 sizes. The extra small and small sole plates will attract the smaller size cuff, and the medium and large sole plate will attract the larger style cuff. So if you are on the cusp of, say for example, a small and a medium sized sole plate, just purely from a volume and a control perspective, you might find that you can fit the smaller size getting into that smaller sole plate, which would also mean that the cuff size will drop down to the smaller size as well. Again, just have a chat with your shop, make sure they're happy with returning the skate if the skate does not fit correctly, particularly if you've erred on the side of caution and gone up a size, gone up to the medium plate with the large cuff, and you might have a lot of room in the liner, and you think, oh, you know what, I think I can downsize. I think I'll go for a 42, which will then put you in that small size sole plate and the smaller cuff. Just talking about the shock pad, specifically designed for the Shadow skate. It fits perfectly inside the base of the cuff and is held in position with these wings on all four sides. Offers about 1 centimeter of shock protection. So in that way, it is actually a really good and functional shock absorber. What it also does is actually help hold the liner and or shoe in place by having rubber on rubber. It actually squeezes in nice and tight. So again, it actually helps hold that liner, reduce heel lift. First generation Shadows had a receiver similar to the one at the front here for the UFS bolt. What that meant is that the cuff for some people snapped because there wasn't enough reinforcement across the base of the cuff. There's actually quite a bit of stress placed along the base of the cuff here and on the outside. And in general, because of the way that the cuff is fixed to the sole plate. So what they did is now introduced a over-injected aluminium plate so that the UFS bolt goes now directly into the plate. What that means is that it is a now stronger, more solid skate. And I don't believe there's been any reports of cuff breakages since this improvement has been introduced. Also marked is the recommended sizing point for the UFS bolt to go in and the cuff position on the sole plate, but I'll go into that in a little more detail later. Now, as this is a hinged cuff, it does have cuff bolts. What I strongly recommend is that you get some Loctite from the hardware store. As soon as you get them, place it on your cuff bolt, do it up nice and tight, and let that set for 24 hours as per the manufacturer of Loctite's recommendation. The factory does put a little bit of Loctite on there, but you really want to just go down to the hardware store, get this, whack it on there, let it set properly. No one likes loose cuff bolts, or worse still, losing a cuff bolt during a session. You will want to do this, please, 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 get Loctite, put it on there, let it set properly. Moving up the cuff, as you will see online in pictures, the cuff comes full in terms of having a plastic part that comes around the top here. If you weren't aware, you can V-cut the 2.0 cuff. So it comes pre-marked, I guess, for a V-cut, meaning that there is a weakened part at the base of the plastic bit that sits here. As you can see, I've already V-cut mine. Best way to do it, in my view, is to get a pair of cutters from the hardware store, or if you've got some at home, cut down the middle of that plastic piece and then snap off the two fins that you create by cutting down the middle. I didn't do a very good job, as you can see here, it's quite rough, but it is pre-marked for you to be able to easily snap off those parts and create a V-cut. From there, if you want, you can grab a file and smooth it out, which I haven't done yet, just to make it a little bit more neat. Working our way at the top, we've got an improved Kaiser Supreme buckle, so it's now more improved, so this plastic base plate here shouldn't snap. Overall, it's a good buckle, it does its job. Nice looking chrome highlight, not much more to say. Next we come to the liner. Just bear with me because I'm a bit of a nerd with this stuff, and there's been quite a substantial amount of improvements done to the liner, and I'm going to go into more detail about pretty much everything that's been changed on the liner, and in particular the new outsole. So first thing, as you may be already aware, is that they use a new last, meaning that the fit is now slightly wider in the toe box. I skate a 44 liner, and I feel like I've got a lot more room than I did have previously due to that wider fit. So much so, I'm considering going down to a 43, but I've yet to try it. but I am strongly considering going down just because I've got a little bit of extra room and I want a closest fit as possible. Not saying everyone is going to be able to downsize, but it is a slightly wider fit, and you do need to remember that it isn't a hard shell that you're trying to squeeze into. It is a rubber outsole and basically a shoe. So you do have a little bit more wriggle room when it comes to trying to downsize your liner. And in my view, that's one of the best things about Shadows, is that you do have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to trying to downsize, not only the liner, but the shell and the sole plates as well. For me, one of the most important parts of the new outsole is that it is lower profile. The original, very first Dustin Latimer Shadows had a very slim outsole, meaning that your heel was as close as possible to the wheels on your frame. So on that subject, it's important to note that whilst the Shadow sole plate is flat, because of the shock absorber, that raises the heel about 1 centimeter. So from that perspective, the Shadow skate is a slightly raised heel skate. So when you add the outsole on top of that, which is about 1.5 centimeters in height at the highest part in the heel, you're looking at about 2.5 to 3 centimeters in height from the base of your heel where it sits inside the liner to the bottom of the sole plate in terms of your foot placement to the frame and the wheels. Because it is already a slightly raised heel skate, because of the shock pad and a few millimeters from the base of the cuff and the sole plate, it's crucially important that this was super slim. Looking at these cutouts as an example, so here are my trashed, which I cut up, very first generation Shadow Dustin Latimer foot wraps, as you can see there. And then I've got the new Dustin Latimer foot wrap slash shoe cut in half as well. So I've actually measured the base or the highest point of each of these, and they are effectively on par. So we've got about just under 1.5 centimeters and just under 1.5 centimeters for both of them. So really awesome to see. I had a friend who tried on the recent USD Shadows with the other outsole on it, and he didn't like them because of how much of a raised heel he had. He had a go on these, the new liners with the new outsole, and he could immediately tell the difference, how much lower his heel felt. He didn't have as much of a forward lean. So again, just reiterating how awesome the new outsole is in terms of how much closer you feel to the frame and the wheels. Another thing too is that the outsole is molded after the sole plate, meaning it tries to follow the shape of the sole plate as best as it can. And it's also got this herringbone style pattern. What that means is that there is more contact with the plate when it's inside the skate, combined with the heel lock, which I'll talk about in a sec, the shock absorber, 45-degree binding, and the toe strap. That all works together to keep that liner locked in place. Another improvement is this toe cap protection. Everyone who skates Shadows knows that at some point in time you may have stubbed your toe or hit your toe, because it is an exposed skate from the toe cap perspective. Me and my friends call it shad toe, where you smash your toe on something, or worse still, your other skate lands on top, or you hit it with one of your wheels. Can be quite painful, and it is enough to turn people off Shadows if they've already got them, or to not want to try them at all in the first place. So now having this toe cap protection means that you have more protection for your toes, obviously, but it also means that for people who perhaps didn't consider Shadows as an option because they were worried about smashing their toes, you now have a little bit more, or a lot more protection there afforded by this new toe cap. I've smashed my toe once or twice in the new liners, and I can say that they do their job in terms of providing protection for your toes. It's not crazy, it's not a composite plastic toe cap. It is still a rubberized toe cap, but it is thicker in areas where it needs to be. So providing that nice balance between toe protection, but still being an open shell skate. Another thing that's probably not highlighted enough is that we now have these toe strap bumpers on both sides of the toe area of the liner and the new outsole. So what these are designed to do is where the toe strap receivers rise up from the sole plate and where the toe strap pressure is applied, it means that those metal receivers and the toe strap, if there is any contact being made with the liner, is putting pressure on these toe strap bumpers rather than what was potentially the side of your foot through material before. So again, it just adds that little bit extra protection and a little bit extra comfort when you're skating in the skate for an extended period of time. Another new feature or return feature is the heel lock ridge at the back of the liner. What happened is the molds were lost at one point for the Shadow skate. So Shadow skates up until a certain point had this, but then we lost it, and now it has returned through the design of the new outsole. That being said, it is significantly improved over the previous generation in that it is now wider and the ridge sticks out a lot more than the original one. You probably can't see it too well on the camera, but the original one, I've got the original Dustin Latimer Shadows here, the original one only stuck out by 2 or 3 millimeters. So whilst we say it was a great part of the old skate, it actually didn't engage all that often because it didn't stick out far enough, and with the padding on the shoe and the padding on the cuff, it actually couldn't push back far enough to lock in any case. With the new one, because we have liner versions of the skate and shoe versions of the skate, it was important that this heel lock returned. Now it's a perfect heel lock. Once it's locked in there nice and tight, it again goes towards reducing that heel lift. Another tip for people who are new to shadows is that what you need to do is once you put your foot inside the liner, you'd be coming in like this on an angle, getting your foot in there, doing up your binding part. So what you want to do is do it up just a couple of notches so it's semi-firm, right? And then what you want to do is slam your heel down like that. That will push the liner back a little bit further and create a little bit more room for you to do up the binding part. You can do this a couple of times. So again, locking it down, bashing it down, do that up a couple more times, and then this should be nice and secure. And then your heel lock should be nice and secure in the back there, again reducing that awful heel lift. So the new liner and the Team Skate comes with the MyFit Foot Cush insole. Super comfortable, super squishy insole. However, for me personally, it takes up too much room inside the liner. So I've swapped it out for a much slimmer, really basic insole from another skate. I actually think from a different pair of Shadows, and I've put that in my liner. I find that there's more room inside the liner and it is more comfortable. Plus, it puts my heel closer to the frame and the wheels. Just got to remember that you've got, in terms of shock absorption, you've got your shock pad inside the skate and you've got the outsoles. So effectively with the shock pad, which is about 1 centimeters in height, plus your outsole, which is about 1.5 centimeters in height, you've got about 2.5, 3 centimeters worth of impact protection provided by the liner and the shock absorber. If you look at the cutout I've got here, you can see that we've got a super squishy foam material there as well, providing that extra shock absorption. Just from a general overview, you've got a nylon mesh that carries up the side and across the foot of the skate. So that's designed to try and last and wear against abrasion. Forks leather heel patch here, and then we've got a welded TPU running up the laces all the way to the top and around the back. Carry stripe at the back, nice little decal there. I know there's a few people online saying that the liner looks brown, so I can say that it is definitely more black in real life. It is a different tone of black to the other parts of the liner. I think it's just the way some of the lighting in photography has hit the nylon mesh, and it's causing that reflection to making it look a little bit more brown, but it is definitely more black than it is brown. From a lacing perspective, it comes with a full set of nice waxed laces all the way to the top, allowing you to do it up nice and tight or control the amount of flex that you want out of the liner and the skate. Sometimes what I do is get an even longer set of waxed laces, so it wraps around the back of the liner, and I do it up even tighter to stop my tongue moving around and really make it feel nice, snug and secure. However, on this occasion, the wax laces and the length of them that have come standard on the skate are doing a great job, so I'm probably just going to leave it this time. As with previous last couple of USD Shadow models, it's come with the 3DAP tongue, a casted PU tongue. Again, I really love this tongue. It is the most comfortable tongue I've ever used on a skate. Important thing to note is that from what I can read online and what I can gather, they are not heat moldable. The reason for that is that there is an amount of different glues that is used to build the line and pull it all together. So putting this in an oven for an extended period of time at a high temperature, you run the risk of heating up that glue and having it all fall apart. That being said, I did put mine in the oven at 90 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. Just a little bit of heat in there to chuck my foot in, do them up as tight as I would when I skated them. And I wore them for about half hour, 45 minutes. After I did that, they were even more comfortable than they were out of the box. Not suggesting you do that. As I said, I don't believe they are heat moldable. Okay guys, that pretty much covers the general overview of the USD Shadow Team Skate 60 for 2024. But what I'm going to do now is just talk about some of the adjustment options when it comes to shadows. Again, for those people who might be a little bit newer to the platform or are considering them for the first time. So straight away, one thing to note is that it is very rarely a skate that you can put on straight away and fall in love with straight away. It does happen with some people, but for most people, they put them on and they feel so foreign, so weird, so different to a traditional hard shell skate that they immediately write them off and say, nah, yuck, don't like them, not for me. I'm gonna go back to whatever skate I'm skating at the moment. They are a skate that you need to invest a bit of time in. You need to get used to them, and you need to find and tinker with them until you find your perfect setting. Because once you do that, as shadow people, long-term shadow fans will attest to, is that once you find that perfect setup, it is so hard to go back to any other skate because of the amount of comfort, control, and performance you actually can get out of them. So first thing, as I mentioned before, is that you've got different cuff and sole plate sizing. What you need to do is work out what is the smallest liner that you can fit yourself into, and then go from there. Again, check with the skate shop that you're planning to purchase from, making sure that they're happy to swap out if they don't actually fit you. But the first point, obviously, is to get into a liner that fits you. Again, I don't advocate squeezing into skates that are smaller if it's going to cause you an immense amount of pain for the entirety of your session. However, as I mentioned before, as it is pretty much an open shell skate and it is effectively a shoe with a rubber toe cap, you do have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to trying to downsize the shoe. Next adjustment point is that you can adjust the position of the cuff on the sole plate that you're using. What I mean by that is that you have your 4 adjustment points on the base of the cuff, Again, you have your recommended sizing point for the UFS bolt to go into. However, that is just a recommendation. So what you can do is move the cuff forward and rearwards and tinker with that and have a couple of sessions trying each cuff position out. Because what that can do is really set you up for the most optimal feeling in terms of your center of gravity over the sole plate and your frame. What it also does is adjust the position of your backslide groove. So you might have a particular preference for where you want that backslide groove on the side of your foot. You might want it further forward or slightly further rearward. So adjusting your cuff position and where your foot sits inside the skate or on the sole plate can affect where that backslide plate rests. So for example, I skate a medium sized sole plate with the largest style cuff. I find that that is the best sizing for me and my frame and my weight. Anything smaller just feels ridiculous and I just don't have enough skate underneath me. Plus I get massive toe overhang as well. I used to skate the cuff another 1 or 2 positions forward, but now I've got it on the second last position. There is a little bit of overhang here, but I find that in relation to the size of the sole plate and the size of my frame, which is a medium size fluid 4, that provides the best overall balance over the skate in terms of frame, sole plate and wheels. That also affects where my backslide plate is positioned, and I find this cuff position is the best position for my groove-based tricks. Next kind of adjustment points are the straps. So you've got your ratchet strap on the outside and your hold strap on the inside. On both sides, you've got 3 adjustment points for the strap, so you can move those straps forward and back. Then on the inside, you've got this thumb screw on the hold strap, which allows you to move the binding part more to the inside or more to the outside. Once you've adjusted your straps and your thumb screw on the hold strap, you can then ratchet your skate up. Adjusting that moves where that binding part sits and where the pressure is most distributed across your forefoot here. So I strongly encourage you to have a play with the settings on the binding part, because again, when you first start skating shadows, you may experience a bit of pain or discomfort from constant pressure on the 45-degree angle on your foot. That's normal in my view. A lot of people who start skating shadows say, I've got this pressure here. Your foot's just not used to it. It actually does go away after a couple of sessions. And if you adjust this binding part combined with the cuff size, sole plate, frame size, all that sort of stuff, it all comes together to really provide one of the most comfortable skates that you can get. Next adjustment point is the lacing on the liner. So you can run it as standard, pull it really nice and tight to give you that nice secure fit, or you can have it a little bit loose at the top so you've got more forward and side to side flex. What you can do also is have a set of laces that only go up to the 45-degree. So you can do them up really nice and tight, and then have a second set of laces running on the vertical part of the liner. And then you can do that up as tight or as loose as you want, depending on how much support, flex, stability you want. And as per traditional skates, how tight you do up your buckle will also feed into how much forward and side to side flex you get out of the skate. When you combine that with how you've set up your lacing, that will really provide you the opportunity to tailor your fit to how you want to ride your skate. There you have it, guys. Thanks for watching my overview of the new USD Shadow Team 60 skate. I hope that provides some further information for shadow fans, but also for those people who are considering shadows for the first time. They are an awesome skate once you invest the time to find what works for you. I don't think there's a better skate on the market, but I'm biased, I'm a shadow nerd. Team 60 is out now, shipping worldwide shortly. Hit them up. Thanks for watching.